Hello everyone, you have Royce here and welcome to our channel Sansevieria 101. So for this episode, we're going to discuss the hybrid called Sansevieria Fernwood. So for everyone's information, Sansevieria Fernwood is or was bred by Roger Weld, and he named it after Fernwood Plants Nursery. Thus, the name Sansevieria Fernwood came to be. So, Sansevieria Fernwood is a cross between the Sansevieria species Parva and Sansevieria species Sofruticosa. So, I'm going to describe the characteristics of Sansevieria hybrid or Sansevieria Fernwood, which is, like I mentioned, the hybrid. So, we have here this is the mother plant, and this is the pup. I have neglected this specimen because I have so many plants and I have a variegated version of it, but this is how the juvenile leaves looks like. So juvenile leaves are having banded pattern. You can see the white bands, the green bands, dark green bands, I'm sorry, and they're in alternating pattern. The newest leaf, they're lighter, but as the leaves grow old, the bandings fade. So this is how the old leaves look like for fernwood. So you can barely see the bandings anymore. It turned into a dull coloration of green. This is the oldest leaf. So like I said, I have neglected it. So there are some pests that are on the leaves of this specimen. So we're going to clean it by using hydrogen peroxide to melt down all the existing aphids that stick to this neglected specimen of mine. Alright, so like I always do when I encounter pests, there's the first thing that you do is use a contact pesticide. For me though, I'm using hydrogen peroxide because it acts like a contact pesticide. When the microbial or the smaller pests come into contact with hydrogen peroxide, they melt, their shells melt, they die, and it acts like a contact pesticide. So by contact, all that you spray with regards to the plant, all the pests that are on the plant will melt with the hydrogen peroxide. I'm using the 3% solution. I'm not diluting it. The leaves can take it, but if you use about 6%, your leaves might get damaged rather than be of any help. So I'm just using the 3%. I'm putting it on a sprayer. Actually, this is an alcohol sprayer, and I just recycled it. So like I mentioned, if you find pests, you can use contact pesticides, but you have to dilute it with water. So water, sometimes you don't know if it's clean or not, if it has foreign materials on it or foreign mixture on the water that you mix with your contact pesticide, then it does more harm than good. As compared to hydrogen peroxide, you know from the bottle when you remove it that it's pure and it doesn't have any mixture of anything else. So I'm using hydrogen peroxide to kill off by contact, and then later on when I plant it, I put additional systemic pesticide to prevent insects from infesting, or the pest from infesting the plant in the future. So first clean it. If you have a contact pesticide, good, but I'm using hydrogen peroxide. At the same time, folks, hydrogen peroxide, when it comes to contact into plant wounds, they clean it, they cleanse it, they make it heal faster, just like in medical practice. Some of the first aid that we use is hydrogen peroxide. If you have any near you, when you have a wound, you can clean it off with hydrogen peroxide too. So going back to the plant, what we'll do is we'll remove this pop, and then I'll have to get rid of the old mother so I can have a healthy pup again planted as a specimen for Sansevieria fernwood. So also in doing that, while we're doing that, I'm going to show you how Fernwood Mikado is done, or how Fernwood Mikado came to be when you buy them in the market. How do they do it? So basically, we will cut down tips from the mother Fernwood, and I'll show you the arrangement later on how they do it. Alright folks, so this other video that I'm showing you is how we're going to make a Fernwood Mikado. So I got my surgical knife or utility knife, and then I had to disinfect it with hydrogen peroxide. And we're going to start cutting off the leaf tips of Sansevieria fernwood. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick out the upper portions of the Sansevieria fernwood leaves, then have them or stick them on the soil on the small pot that we have prepared. So I might have forgotten to spray hydrogen peroxide on the first few leaves that I have cut off with the Sansevieria fernwood. So I'm just showing you how it's done. So no matter, you're supposed to disinfect the wounded area when you cut it with either hydrogen peroxide, or you can use super glue or nail polish to seal them off. But right now what we're doing is we're just illustrating how it's done, so it doesn't really matter to me if they survive or not, but most probably they will. Just make sure that they receive sufficient sunlight when watering, because when you water them and they're in that in that what you call it state wherein they're just leaf cuttings and they don't have roots, most probably if you don't have the sufficient sunlight and sufficient air circulation in the area where you place your pot, most probably one by one the leaf cuttings will wilt away or rot. So if you really wanted to do it though, then I suggest that you seal them off before you stick them on the small pots if you want to make your own Sansevieria fernwood Mikado. Alright, so we're going to remove the healthier pup from the fernwood, and I'm going to transfer it to a smaller pot. There you go. I removed it, removed some leaves, roots I mean, sprayed some hydrogen peroxide on the wounded area where I just plucked the Sansevieria fernwood pop and spray on the wounds as well. Then seal it off with super glue and plant them separately. Alright, so folks, this is the Fernwood Mikado that is being sold in the market, and they're pretty cheap. So as you have seen me do it, they are leaf cuttings of fernwood that are put together in one pot. So if ever you wonder, you put them in the bathroom wherein there is insufficient lighting or there is poor air circulation, and you water them, these cuttings will most likely wilt one by one. So the reason regarding that, with regards to that, is because they don't have any rhizomes to begin with. They have rooted, but the roots will not be able to support the leaf cuttings if they don't receive enough sunlight or air circulation or rain for the roots to fully develop into rhizomes in the future. So that's how fernwood mikados are made. In a bit, I will be showing you another specimen of my fernwood, and this time, and by that time, I mean, you will see that I'll be showing you a variegated form of fernwood. Alright folks, so we're back, and like I mentioned, I'm going to show you a very mature and variegated fernwood. So like I mentioned, this is a hybrid of Sansevieria parva and Sansevieria fruticosa. So this is the variegated version, which I didn't neglect. As you can see, I'll move backwards to show you folks how long the fernwood leaves can be. And at the sides you will see the fernwood mikado that we just made, just for the purpose of showing you folks how it's done, and the fernwood that we saved from the neglected fernwood specimen that I had, which is just the green form or the normal form of Sansevieria fernwood. Alright, so let's check the characteristics of fernwood. Like I mentioned with the initial specimen that I showed you, the new leaves are whitish in color, and then it's having dark green banding. Then as the leaves grow older, the whitish coloration turns to normal green, and you still have the dark green bandings. So from whitish with the juvenile leaves to the normal green, and then as the leaves grow older, the green becomes darker. So the same with the variegated version of fernwood. You can see the new leaf there, very whitish in coloration with dark green bandings. However, the variegations on it will hide the actual pattern of the fernwood leaves. That's the variegation of fernwood, and that's the leaf tip of fernwood. So to describe it, it's not brittle compared to Trifasciata. Well, it is. It will break if you press it down, but they're not as brittle as Trifasciatas. And the tips are needle-like and very long. Alright, so there you go, folks. So the variegations on fernwood cannot be identified or classified in cultivars like Trifasciatus, because as with Trifasciatus, you'd get variegation patterns from the wide leaves. However, it's very hard for the very thin cylindrical leaves of fernwood to classify them via variegation. So there are no existing cultivars of the Sansevieria hybrid fernwood. If they variegate, then they are called the variegated fernwood. They are not reclassified onto further cultivars, because it's very hard to identify the type of variegations that will appear per leaf of Sansevieria fernwood. So I think this is it for this episode, folks. So if you like what you see, or if you like the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, everyone.